Hi there. Welcome to Bourbon Turntable. Or should I say, welcome back to Bourbon Turntable. This is our first show in 5 months. So welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us, tuning in. Starting out with a fantastic show for you. Our good friend Chris Tapp from the Cold Stairs is going to be with us. And he's bringing along with him his bandmates, Brian Mullins and Bryce Kleuh. These are really, really sweet guys, fantastic individuals. But one of my favorite bands, and they have a new album coming out called The Southern Part 2. The Southern Part 1 was one of the best blues rock albums to come out in 2024. This will certainly be one of the top, if not the top, blues rock albums to come out in 2025. So we will have Chris and Brian and Bryce with me in just a little while. You'll get part 1 of the show today. You'll get part 2 of the show next week. So be sure to look for that show and look for this album, which hits stores, hits the airwaves, your streaming services on Friday, June 6th. So be sure to check that out. I also want to tell you about Bar Cart Co-op. Bar Cart Co-op is a collection of friends who produce content for the whiskey enthusiasts. We have shows like Distillers Talk, and If You Have Ghosts, You Have Everything, which are Alan Bishop joints. My Whiskey Den with Pat and Mike and Mitch airs every Monday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. My Whiskey Den, where craft whiskey is king. And then we have Whiskey in My Wedding Ring with David Levine. Be sure to check that out. He has a great blog and does some wonderful podcasts with great guests that you'll find very informative. So be sure to check all of those out. And don't forget about us here at Bourbon Turntable. You can watch us on YouTube. You can follow us on your favorite podcast platforms. You can check us out on Facebook, see what all we've got going on. I post lots of news about music and whiskey-related things there, as well as post all of our shows. So would love for you to join us. And I'm thankful that you're joining us now for part 1 of our show with the Cold Stairs, Chris Tapp, Brian Mullins, and Bryce Kleuh. Well, I'm here tonight. Man, this is a great show. This is first show back, okay? I've been taking a little break here for the past few months. Kind of been going at it every week, week in, week out, without fail for a long time, and just decided it's time for a little break. First show back, I got to say, I'm knocking it out of the park. I've got all 3 members of the Cold Stairs here with me. Chris Tapp is a veteran of Bourbon Turntable. He's been on a few times. Chris, welcome back.
Hello, Kevin. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you for everybody arranging your schedule. And I've got Brian Mullins, the drummer for the Cold Stairs.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to the show, Brian. And Bryce Kleuh. Did I get that right?
You nailed it. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Bryce Kleuh. It does not spell like Kleuh, but it speaks like Kleuh.
There we go. Go.
Welcome, Bryce. Welcome. All right. So, Chris, a couple things right off the bat. Band has a new album coming out. Tell us about it. When can people find it?
It looks like it's going to drop on June 6th. At least the digital version is of that. I think the physical version is going to be delayed, sadly, just a little bit. We've had some issues with production on the vinyl end of things, and so it could be just a little bit delayed. It shouldn't be too long, but yeah, the digital version drops June 6th. The pre-sales are live, so you can get your pre-sale done on that, and it'll ship soon as we get them in. But yeah, super excited about this.
Yeah. So this is the Southern Part 2. So why do a Part 2?
We recorded both records at the same time. We just had an abundance of music, and we did it all at Memphis Magnetic at the same time. So we discussed it. Didn't think it made sense to call it something else because the similarly recorded and sounding album. I didn't want to hear, oh man, it sounds a lot. Songs are different, but it sounds a lot like the last one. So it made sense, and it's kind of a moment in time. 1 and 2 both were kind of a moment in time for us.
Yeah.
So one question that I've always meant to ask you, but always forget, is why the name The Cold Stairs?
Brian and I started out when we first started playing. We played a little club here in town called the Duck Inn, and we didn't even have a name. We weren't trying to be a band. We're just a couple buddies getting together, playing a show for another friend of ours, and we wanted to make a statement, so I kind of went overkill with the amps that night. And I don't know. It's been so we've explained this so many times, and it's been so long. Sometimes I think the story becomes reality, but somehow we had a discussion that we didn't know how well we did, but we knew everybody. Kind of got the cold stares from everybody, and it stuck. And we had they asked us to put a name for the show, I think, and we didn't have a name prior or something like that. It was the show ponies were kicked around for a minute, and no good names.
Yeah,
and,
I think it worked out. Yeah.
I think it's a great name. And Brian and I are both big Black Crowes fans, and I love the song "Stare at Cold." So it just one thing
that fits
to another hip. Yeah.
That fits. All right, so we are going to drink a little bit of whiskey, and one of the things that I sent you guys is there's a distillery in Illinois called Few Spirits, and they have made a few different whiskeys over the past few years themed around certain bands. This one's they call Smashing Pumpkins, and it's not just, hey, let's slap a name on it. It is Few Spirits bourbon that instead of diluting it or proofing it down with water, they used tea. And Billy Corgan owns a tea shop called Madame Zuzu's tea shop. So this is proof down with Billy Corgan's tea. So if you guys have that, you want to take a little sip here as we get things rolling.
So is this as soon as you drink this, have a drink of it, then it makes you immediately play grunge?
Well, yeah, you got a few songs that have that Smashing Pumpkins fuzz that would rival it anyway.
Yeah.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
I was not a huge Pumpkins fan back in the day, but I do enjoy his podcast that he's been doing lately.
Yeah,
it's good actually.
Interesting guy. Heard an interview with him. One of the things he said was the only topic left for rock musicians to write about is God. We've covered everything else.
Yeah, I saw that.
So
interesting.
Wow. So Bryce, you're the new guy.
I am. Yes.
This band could go on for another 30 years, and you'd still be the new guy.
I would like to hope so. Yeah.
Look, Neil Peart was the new guy in Rush.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
It worked out for him.
It did.
Yeah. So when did you join the band officially?
I think officially was like December 31st, 2021. I think that was the first post that welcomed me into the band.
Okay.
We had rehearsed for probably the month before.
Yeah.
But yeah. January 2022, we played our first show as a 3-piece. And yeah.
That's great.
It's been fun.
So what was the audition process like for you, or were you just like anointed and
I don't really know. I don't know if there was necessarily an audition process. When Chris had texted me like, "Hey, we're thinking about adding a bass player," that night I sat down and learned like 4 or 5 of their albums, the whole thing, and and then we met for lunch the following week, and he was like, "Here's 3 songs. Learn these 3 songs." I was like, "All right, well, I already got those." So
Do you remember the
so we
3
went to
songs?
practice. Um, in the nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
heavy shoes, I think, and
Mm-hmm.
I was a fool. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it was those 3. 2 for sure. I know
Yeah.
in the nighttime and fool for sure,
Yeah.
but
That covers
and
kind of a few of the different styles that you hear in the Cold Stairs music. So yeah,
it does, yeah,
that's
yeah.
good. That's good.
And the first thing we did when we got together was just jam on. I think it ended up being "Come for Me" off Voices, the first
Mm-hmm.
track. But we were just kind of jamming around. I think he just wanted to see what I would do on something I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess it went well.
Now, what
So
was your view of the band then from uh, Cold Wet Night and a Howling Wind up through Heavy Shoes? Because those were not
well,
albums that you played on. So what was your view of the band and how the
right.
band had progressed?
I had really loved the band. I had saw them at probably their 3rd or 4th show at the Duck Inn again, because it's just right behind my house. So my brother saw them the week before, or a couple weeks before, and was like, "You got to see these bands." So I went with them and watched them. I knew them more live than I did the albums. I had
Mm-hmm.
all the early albums, but I knew their live show, and their live show was pretty gnarly. Just 2 dudes making some loud music, and
Yeah.
I always wanted to ask if they needed a bass player, but I didn't want to be that guy like, "Hey, I think you guys need a bass player." So I just kind of went to the shows because I was a genuine fan,
Yeah.
for real. I mean, it wasn't any kind of putting on, or now that I'm in the band, I got to say that I was a fan. I've been a fan since early on. So,
Yeah.
and going back now and seeing how they've progressed is pretty interesting. I think more in the early stuff, it was more, a little more rock and a little more, not necessarily grunge. I don't know what to call it,
Mm-hmm.
but, like, I don't know. But, now that seeing the blues influence and stuff and seeing how that's involved since the first album is really interesting.
Yeah. So Brian, what was it like to have somebody that is now your partner in the rhythm section for the band?
Well, I'd played with Bryce before. We did a Tom Petty tribute with a friend of ours, and we did
that's
it
awesome.
a couple years in a row. And so I'd played with Bryce before, and I knew he was great. I mean, he's a local legend, so everybody knows Bryce can play the bass. So no, it just he's got a nice groove, and he listens to the kick drum and plays where he's supposed to be. So. And personally, as well as professionally, everybody loves Bryce. So, it just, that's a big component of it. You spend a lot of time together,
Right.
you travel, you're in high stress situations, and yeah, and that was just as important as the musicianship. So, he had both pockets full.
Good. So how long did it take you guys to gel? Okay. Speaking of gel, okay, I set myself up here. Look at the coiffure on this gentleman. Oh my goodness. He's just it's just a wonder. It really is. I don't know what you do, but it's fantastic. It really looks good.
That's the eighth wonder right there.
Yeah. Coming from the guy who's had the same cut since kindergarten. So all right. So anyway, how long did it take you guys to gel with bass and drums?
I'm waiting on Brian to jump in on this. I'll be honest with you, man. It felt good right away. We knew we would be able to work with it and do something with it. And we both like Bryce, so that's the biggest component of that. But Brian and I have been playing a long time together. We've been playing together 20 years. I can tell you the next 4 beats that he's going to do, and he can tell you where I'm headed and where I'm not. to me, to be honest with you, it wasn't until probably 6 months ago that I really started feeling we were getting really on the same page to the level that Brian and I, had been on. It's kind of become secondary now that I know what Bryce is going to do, and Bryce knows what Brian's going to do. But I think obviously, if you have great players, you walk into a room in a studio situation, or you can have a live show that everybody gets on there and just everybody's great. But I don't think there's anything that replaces time. And the great thing with Bryce is he jumped in on a point where we signed with a new agency and we started playing a lot. So we've probably played as many shows now, getting close to, with Bryce as Brian and I did by ourselves. We've really played a lot in the last couple of years. So I think we were a solid 7 when we got Bryce in, and we felt good together. But man, I feel like we're pushing closer to 10 as far as us feeling good on stage together.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you guys a few times, a time or two, I guess, and it does work. It really, really does, and it's like it feels like it's been a trio from day one, even though it hasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the great things about kind of tracing through the whole discography of the Cold Stares is observing the growth of Brian Mullins as a drummer. Always been good, but it feels like you're kind of in that beast territory now, and I can pick up from time to time when I watch you live. You're playing drum licks that are more complex and more difficult live than you played them on the studio album. And I'm just very impressed by that. So one, do you feel like that growth and it's been that kind of trajectory for you? And if so, how did you push yourself to keep getting better and better?
Yeah. Thanks for that, Kevin. I hope that I progressed. I work on it pretty hard. I enjoy practicing on my instrument. Probably almost as much as I enjoy playing live. I'll find myself in the set sometimes thinking, man, I can't wait to get in the practice room and work on this part, or whatever. So I enjoy the process, and it's not really a destination. It's just the path that I'm on and I want to stay on. I'm totally in love with the instrument and playing in this band, and I just want to give it everything I have, for as long as I can.
Yeah. Equipment wise, what are you using? Do I remember that you got a new kit recently?
I'm playing a Gretsch kit right now. I've had it for about 3 years, and but that's fixing to change. I just got there it is. A buddy of mine, he used to work for Pearl Drums for like 12 years, and he started his own drum company a couple years ago. And he's been talking to me about wanting me to play his drums, and he sent me this snare, and I'm just blown away with it. I've been using it live, and so he's built me a kit, and the name of his company is Drum Pickers, and that's what I'm going to be playing here as soon as that kit's ready. So but yeah, right now it's a Gretsch kit, and I love that kit too. But Justin, he's been a great friend of the band. He's a fan. He makes incredible drums, and he's a righteous dude. So I couldn't say no. So I'm stoked to be playing his stuff soon.
Awesome. I'll look forward to
it's super exciting.
Yeah, I love it. So I've heard different drummers talk over the years about some of them pay very close attention to the lyrics of the songs, and some of them don't know the lyrics at all of the songs. Where are you on that spectrum?
I pay attention. Chris has ruined me with lyrics because I used to never pay attention to lyrics unless they were really bad or really, really good, But, he's just such a phenomenal writer. There's nothing I mean, I just love all the lyrics going back to the first record, even stuff that we were working on before we were the Cold Stairs. You know,
Yeah.
we're blessed to be able to play in a band with a songwriter like that, and the lyrics are definitely, you know, one of my favorite parts, and just such a strong component to the band. First song that we put together as a band was Jesus Brother James, and he brought that in with lyrics and everything. And it was so good. I thought that it was probably like some, you know, John Prine or Bob Dylan song that I should
Yeah.
know. And I just had my excuse ready when he called me out for not knowing the song or not playing it right or whatever. I was going to say, yeah, man, I was just doing my own thing with it. And then, you know, and I still, like, I looked for it online. I couldn't find it. You know, I'm like, what the hell is this? And I asked him a few days later. I'm like, man, that first jam we were playing, what is that? He's like, that's mine. I'm like, oh shit, man, we have a band.
Bryce, is there a song from the lyric standpoint that would be a favorite of yours?
Oh, I really like Level 4 Blues off
Yeah.
the newest album, the Southern Part 1. I think it tells an amazing story and very cool. John is great as well. Both of those, I guess, have strong themes of death. So I don't know if that's a good thing, but I think it's very cool. You know.
Yeah, for a non-hip hop artist, there's a pretty high body count in Chris's lyrics.
There is.
My wife says the same thing. You're always killing somebody off. You know, when it comes to lyrics, man, I think I appreciate all the kind words everybody has said. I think around the time that Brian and I started playing, a couple of things happened. I thought that first of all, just the level of kind of where Brian was getting at that point required, you know, some professional ability on lyrically. You know, I just didn't think that if we were going to do something that had that much impact and was going to be, you know, things that we had done before that I had written, I was trying to write to get a record deal or to please somebody else. And when we started, I just kind of, we since we didn't have any expectations, I just wrote for myself. And that's a lesson I wish I'd have learned a long time prior to that. You know, if you write from an honest place, it connects easier with people. But, you know, you never know. I got to thinking around that time also, you just never know who's going to listen to the song. And if you don't put any effort into the lyrics and you by chance hit that one person that you were really supposed to impact, or that you had a possibility to impress or whatever else, it's just wasted. And as long as we're going to have to play these songs, you know, Brian and I have been playing these songs for 10 years. Bryce has been playing them already for 3 years. You got to play them that long. I don't want to sit up there and sing some kind of phony mess or something that, you know, doesn't mean anything. So, I appreciate now, and the level that these guys are playing at now, the new record, as well as the one we just recorded in Texas, where I'm trying to push my level of storytelling and lyrics up to match the musicality that we're hitting now.
Yeah. That was something I was going to lead into is how do you continue to raise the bar as a band, and how do you continue to challenge each other individually as musicians?
I think we're all a little bit jealous of each other in the best way of attributes that each one of us have that maybe the other one doesn't. You know, I'll bring a riff in and Brian will play something that kind of blows us away, and you know, then we got to step it up, and then Bryce comes in and he wants to make sure he's playing to the song, and we put the effort in and the thought in to make sure that we're doing the best that we can. It's like being on a baseball team, man, and shortstop is killing it. You know, you don't want to go to the plate and throw something out and have your team lose. So we're a team, and we're working hard at that stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And we played with some great bands too in the last couple of years. You know, we've been out with Joe Bonamassa. We've been out with a lot of great bands, and we don't have any intention on going somewhere and playing and not getting, you know, being the best that we can be. You know,
Yeah.
best Cold Stairs can be anyway.
Yeah. Bryce, any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, the same. I mean, every time we're going out, you know, we were on the Rock Legends cruise not too long ago, and watching these like actual legends, you know, and you know, I don't think there's ever a time whenever we play with another band that we're not picking up on something or learning something or being like, okay, well, they did it this way, we need to do it 5 times better, or anywhere along those lines, you know. And like Chris said, I mean, I'm always in awe of these two guys, you know. Whenever we're together coming up with new stuff, it's, you know, Brian's just instantaneous, got the perfect groove for it, or an even better groove than what we had kind of expected, or any of that. So and same with Chris. I mean, his guitar playing, the way he solos now. When we first got in the band, I mean, he was a great soloist before, but I feel like his solos are on another level now. I just think they're,
I agree.
you know, I love when we're playing, and I just, you know, I'm getting kind of lost in the moment and listen to him solo, and it's just, it's great, you know. And I've always been a fan of musicality, and I feel like we're pushing the bars, you know, in the right ways, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
They make it easy to quarterback when you have a line like that. You know, as to put it in football terms, they set such a foundation that I don't have to worry about when I am soloing. You know, we're listening to each other. That's a really fun thing in this band is we get to listen to each other. We get to be stoked by what everybody else is playing, and it's made me a better player for sure.
Yeah, I think you, as someone who listens to your music, enjoys your music, and has seen you live, it's almost easy to take it for granted how good your live shows are. It's no nonsense, not a lot of BS going on. It's just you hit it from the first beat, and it just doesn't stop. And it just
Thank you.
checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
It really does.
for sure.
Yeah. So it's, stylistically, Brian, what did you grow up listening to? Who did you pattern yourself after as a young drummer? Who were you trying to play like, or who's influenced you?
Yeah, I think one of the main influences would be Kenny Aronoff. I was taking lessons, you know, he's an Indiana guy, and I was taking lessons from a guy that one of his proteges, you know, so he was always telling me about Kenny. And, you know, as a young kid, you know, I didn't love Mellencamp at first, you know, I wanted to listen to Headbangers Ball, you know, and but Kenny kind of brought a hard rock approach to Americana music, you know, so that anytime I hear Lonesome Jubilee, I'm like, oh, yep, I stole that one. Yep, damn, I stole that one too, you know. And just the odd pairing of that muscular drums with almost like folk songs, you know, was a very big influence. And there's tons of others, you know. I mean, really, a lot of local guys, man. This town's like a drummer factory. There's so many great drummers. There's a guy that Bryce played with named Heath Metzger. He's one of my favorite drummers of anybody, you know.
Yeah.
So there's just so many good, you know, too many to name, but those are two pretty good starts.
Yeah. The Kenny Aronoff definitely, that tracks. I think one of the first times I had Chris on, I'd mentioned that's what you reminded me of. You know, and I think there's a little Matt Cameron in there too. Just
Certainly
can really wail on the drums, but do it so artfully that it doesn't feel strained. It feels almost effortless. So
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. You know, Matt always comes up with incredible parts, you know, for the songs. Not necessarily, you know, maybe not an impressive um, Instagram chops drummy thing,
Right.
but something that elevates the song, you know,
Yeah.
and that's
Right.
that's the most important
Oh.
thing.
Well, I hope you enjoyed part 1. Part 2 of this episode will air next week, so be sure that you're following us so you don't miss out. Also, be sure to follow our good friends over at the Bar Cart Co-op, whether it's Distillers Talk, if you have Ghost, you have everything, My Whiskey Den, One Piece at a Time Distilling Institute, or Whiskey in My Wedding Ring. All really good content that I'm sure that you will enjoy. Be sure to follow us here at Bourbon Turntable. You can please subscribe on YouTube. We would love it if you would. You don't miss any shows that way. They'll all come right to you. You can also subscribe to us on podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, or Google. So that's all for this week. Look forward to seeing you again next week. Have a great day.